My name is Josef Burgmaier. I'm the key user of the SAP Preventive Maintenance module in Schaffhausen. It's a town in Switzerland. We are part of Johnson & Johnson. We are producing pharmaceuticals, mainly in the sterile area. So we produce vials and syringes to be injected at the patients. And today I will present you from the business side how we have implemented Neptune to support our technicians to handle their daily work. And with me is Aravinda. I hand over to him for his
Hello everyone.
Introduction.
My name is Aravinda. I'm the Global Development Manager responsible for user experience, mobility, and more recently, industrial IoT. And I thank you, Josef, for being here. You can directly hear from the key power user how our implementation went through the whole development cycle, and at the end you'll hear the customer feedback.
Okay, so what's our agenda for today? I will just give some introduction about J&J. Aravinda will talk about SAP in J&J. Then I will come back to the project itself, just some words to the background, how we developed. Then I will guide you through the complete process, the first steps, how we implemented and how did we roll out. And then I have prepared some example screens that you get an impression how the app is looking like. Aravinda will then come back to the more technical details, the architecture. And in the end, I will put this all together. I will show you the highlights and the feedback of the users. And at the end, if we have time, we have a Q&A. So some words to J&J. You have heard already in the introduction. It's a quite big company. We have around 130,000 people, 275 operating companies in 60 countries. The sales in the year 2015 you can read. It's separated in 3 different parts. On the one side we have the pharmaceuticals. This is where I work for. We have a lot of different medicines, not well known the most. The most are very special for special illnesses, so not a tablet against headache or something like this. The other part is the medical devices. In this area, we produce supporting material for doing surgery or material to repair broken bones or broken joints or something like this. And the third part, and I think this is what you mainly know, are the consumer products. This is where we have the shampoos, the creams, the baby care, and all these things.
Okay, so looking at our SAP footprint, right? It's a very complex organization. As you can see, this is broken down by regions, by sectors. We have insane number of 2,000 servers running across the globe, 550 plus SAP instances across 30 platforms. We use 40 plus SAP product. You name any product, we have it in our organization, right from ACC, CRM, MDG, BW, HANA, Business Objects, FSCM, SLT, it goes on. So how do we support the mobile apps for such a complex organization and complex platforms, right? That's what we are going to talk about. So we started the mobility journey in 2013. Back then, SAP UI5 is still a baby. I call it, with 25 basic apps they came out with. It's licensed. So we have a need. We were putting together the global UX strategy across our landscape. So we have seen a need to build something which works on the desktops, tablets, and mobiles. So what we did was early back in 2013, we took our SAP portal to start with. We customized it in a way that it runs on desktop, mobiles, and smartphones. That's our very first early mobility adoption we started with. And in 2014, the very first request came from our business partners who are they don't want to go to an SAP screens to do approvals. So we build our custom UI5 app, which talks to many backends at the same time, and bring a consolidated view of all the workflows into one unified inbox. So, and the next step in 2016, we started looking much deeper in other supply chain areas, mainly into the plants. We have 120 plants across the world. We have hundreds of warehouses. So we started looking into building the apps for SAP warehouse management, plant maintenance, and you also have the auto ID, advanced track and trace for serialization. So there are many places where we have seen a need, particularly for the barcode scanning, etc. So one of the success story or a case study we're going to share is particularly to do with the SAP PM module, which was our first Neptune mobile app, which went live almost 8 months last year, Q4 of last year. That's what we're going to show.
Okay, coming now to the details of our project. I will start with the background. We have introduced the SAP Preventive Maintenance module in 2011 in Schaffhausen in Switzerland at the first site of J&J. And what we cover, or what we have covered with the SAP application, is all the documentation the technicians have to do when they repair a production equipment, or when they have to do a preventive maintenance on the production equipment. What's very important for us, the pharma environment is very strictly regulated. So there is it's very important that you document everything. Everything has to be signed. It's not just create something and then it's done. You really have to be in compliance, and this all has to be verified. What we have seen from the beginning when we have implemented SAP, especially for the technicians, this is not a system being very handy. If you are, let's say, an office guy working the whole day in front of the PC, SAP is not the real problem. But if you're a technician and you are used to use your tools and you have dirty fingers and all these things, you will not enter any data in multiple screens in SAP. So I've just picked out one example to show what progress we did now with the app based on the Neptune platform. When the technicians have to do a repair, after the repair, they have to enter so-called failure codes. They have to decide what was the reason for the failure, what they have done to repair it, and how the failure showed up. When they do this in SAP, in the native SAP, they need around 30 clicks for it. Now in the mobile app, it's just 6 taps to select their failure codes. And when you scale up this to all the transactions and the entries they have to do, we can save a large amount of money. So what we have done during the year since 2011, we have implemented a lot of software changes in SAP to make it easier for the technicians to work. But to be honest, it was a lot of effort, but the basic concept of SAP was still there. You have a lot of screens and a lot of fields to enter data, and the technicians have not been happy with this. So this resulted in frustrated technicians. We lost a lot of time for the data entry. So it could be the technician has done one repair, let's say 10 minutes, and then he needed 5 minutes to enter all his data into SAP. And this relation is really not the best one. In some cases, the technicians, they just don't enter the data, or they entered it wrong. And when we are coming now back to the, let's say, to the compliance background in the pharma environment, this is a big issue. If you have an audit by an authority, and they see in any logbook you have done a repair, but you have not documented it, then you get in trouble. So the first steps. Early 2016, we decided to go in the direction to bring our SAP on a mobile platform. We have set up a business case, and for the site in Schaffhausen, we are talking about 60 technicians. We have figured out a potential saving of $70,000 US just by saving the time for the technicians to enter data in SAP. This is really a a large amount because this is not the productive work. They are just documenting their work. So what we have done, the first step was we have created a core team. So we picked out 5 technicians from multiple departments and we explained them the project, and together with them we set up the URS. We asked them how it should look like, what do you want to have, and very important point, we involved them in the decision on the devices. IT pushed us, give them iPads. But from the technician side came back, we don't want to have iPads. We have to carry a lot of things with us. We want to have a phone we can put in our pockets. So this was the first decision done during this project, really from the basis. Then in August, I had one WebEx session with the IT guys, was already Aravinda involved. And I just demonstrated them the processes we have in SAP and which we want to have mobilized. And then I started with some drawings you can see here. I've put together my ideas, how it should look like, which screens I want to have, what functions should be there. And we discussed this with IT. Then the pure implementation phase of the app, and I think this is what we can really be proud of. The complete development was done in 5 weeks. We started with a 3-week phase, mid of October until end of October. We had a daily call with IT, and when I talk about IT, I mean here the company you can see here as 5. It was Gunnar and Martin. I had the pleasure this morning to talk with Gunnar. So I told them again what I want. They did the changes, and the next day we talked again. And so we had a 3 weeks period where we really developed the app basically. And then we started a 2 weeks period where I took the app, went to the technicians, the 5 technicians we have selected for the core team, and we went through the app again and again. With every technician, at least 2 sessions. We had again the daily calls with IT. We have created a list with around 100 topics to be changed in the app. You can see a cutout of the list here. And this we have handled within 2 weeks. And after the 2 weeks, the app was completely developed. And this is really what I have to say I have never seen in J&J by now. Normally, when you develop a software, you always talk about 6 months or 1 year, and we really did this in 5 weeks. That was really a great achievement here. Then, of course, there is a lot of documentation work. You cannot just develop an app and use it, perhaps like I heard from the Sting company before. There is no regulation behind, but on our side, there has been a lot of work to be done in the background. We had to do the official user acceptance tests. We had to do training because you have to train people officially in the pharma environment. You cannot just say, do it. But to be honest, training was limited here just to show them the app. They have seen it once, and then they have been able to work with. So no, not the real training like we had with SAP standard. Then mid of December 2016 was the date when we went live with the app with the 5 pilot technicians. So the rollout of the app. In the first 2 weeks, we have a bug fixing period. But to be honest, it was mainly 1 bug to be fixed. We have underestimated a little bit the time to download data. We have a very big structure for all our equipments, and we have implemented in the app the possibility that the technicians can work online. So all the functional locations, these are the equipments and the sub-equipments, they have to be downloaded. And the routine behind, I think this is something you can discuss with Aravinda later, was not set up in a correct way. It worked fine with the test system because we have not so much data there, but in the final system, in the productive system, we had an issue there. But it was fixed within days, was not a problem. We got very positive feedback from the technicians, and by now, I'm really proud to say no single technician asked me, I don't know how to handle this. Huh? It's really set up intuitive, it's set up easily, so they can just use it. And the statement in the middle I have highlighted in bold was the statement of one technician, and I think this gives the picture about the complete project, or also about the Neptune background. He said it's unbelievable how simple and fast this is now. Huh? He was used to the standard SAP, and this was really a great achievement here. So until end of April, I did the rollout now for the first part of the technicians. It has been 13. And now we have already started to roll out for the next 20 technicians. And now we are already in the planning to do the global rollout. We have around 30 sites using SAP PM. And it's planned that we have the global rollout from Q3 this year until Q2 2018. So here you can see some screenshots. Important, perhaps the second one. In the pharma environment, you have to sign in into such an app. You cannot just use it. There is a strict regulatory aspect behind that. The data you enter in SAP, you have to verify that the user who enters the data is trained on this, that you can verify which user entered this, all these things. Then the next screen, very simple, is the starting screen. We have two processes. One is for handling a work order, so he can handle his preventive maintenance work, he can handle project work, and on the other side you can see the repair documentation. This is the case when the line is broken, the technician is going to the line, he enters the data, and the app creates all the objects in SAP behind for him. We have a default settings. This is just for setting the language. Another big topic in Switzerland, people don't speak English normally, especially the technicians, so they can just switch the app to German, and then it's done. The last screen on the right side, you can see a screen from our repair documentation. And it's really very simple. We have selected really only the fields they need to populate. So they can simply enter the data. The system is set up in a way that they can go through the process by back and next buttons, so they don't have to click around through multiple screens in SAP. It's handled very easily. At the top you can see a slider bar, so they can also select to another process if they don't want to go step by step. That's very easy. So back to Aravinda.
Okay, so that's real feedback, right? And one of the things I would like to touch upon is the icon itself is created by business, not an IT. So they are so proud of making those even icon level details, right? So what we have done here is, it's pretty easy to start with. We installed a Neptune add-on in our ECC box, which takes hardly 30 minutes to do. In J&J, we have 100,000 plus iOS devices. We are pretty big in iOS. We use the AirWatch to control all these devices. And we use the F5 Edge VPN because any data which goes to back and forth between SAP to your device, which must be secured. So we enable the VPN on your iPhone. And the app works both online and offline. In case of creating a work order itself, you can do it in offline. The reason being is, if your SAP might be down for whatever the reason, or if your network might be down, LDAP might be down, you still should be able to create your notification work order. So that's the reason half of our app works in offline mode, meaning all those, we have 140,000 functional locations. So they all get downloaded very first time when the user uses the app. And thereafter, you can run that pretty much in offline mode. So when you come back to online into VPN, that's the time they can sync back to your SAP. The other part of the app, which is the process work order, there could be two technicians working on the work order parallelly. So we want that to be every save to be saved back to SAP. We also enable dual authentication. So we influenced Neptune because in a pharma world, they wanted to keep 6 digits PIN code versus 4 digits. We were able to get the help what we needed in no time, and we enabled that for the business. Again, everything is built on top of what we have. And an SAP PM standpoint, we don't have to do a complex configuration or complex app coding for our app development. The next one is, we are proud to say that we are pretty big in Neptune right now. We have 10 different projects going in parallel. We are bringing pretty much every SAP module into the Neptune platform. It's quite simple. We start with our user requirement gathering. We go through the UX analysis, how is our current SAP screen looks like. So there is a team who basically put together the mock-up screens and layout. The old way of doing it is, okay, you take Adobe Photoshop, any of these the tools out there, and you design the static screens. So we don't do that anymore. We directly build them in the Neptune and give the link back to the user so that he can click and see how the whole navigation, everything looks. So we take the same prototype into the project, so that's where you save the time. You don't have to reinvent it again. We use the NAD and NAM. That's where we do our Neptune development and app administration. We have a big compliance team behind us. So they are the one who take each of our app and see what is in there. Are we using any open source libraries? Are we putting any suspicious code in there? So they do a good job of checking all our apps. And then at the end, once the app is built and developed, the next phase will start of testing, right? You get an iOS update every quarter. So how do you make sure that your app will continue to work after you get an iOS upgrade or a device upgrade? So we have the mobility testing team in place who knows what is coming out from an Apple or an Android, from the device standpoint and operating system point, and they test every single app, we have a scheduled testing cycle, so they go through that. Yep.
Okay, so to close this and summarize, success was possible here, I think really because of the strong and stable and easy to handle Neptune platform. I have been involved in a lot of SAP developments and enhancements. But when I talked to Gunnar and Martin on the phone and I said, hey, I want to change this, and they just changed it on the fly and they pushed the app, and I have seen it on my handy. This was amazing for me to see how easy this can work. Of course, we have worked very hard during these 5 weeks. I think Martin and Gunnar can say this also, but it was possible because we have been in a good cooperation also with the IT guys who had the governance around the project. And I think what was really key for the project here, that we have really taken into account the users from the beginning. We did not want it to set up an app from my desk, or I did not want to do it. I really wanted to have the people involved and to say, how do you want the app looking like? And I think the statement I have mentioned again here is really, is the big picture about the complete project. The people, they don't understand how easy this can go now if they are just used to SAP. Perhaps a last sentence. To be honest, even if you integrate the users early and if you have a strong platform, you will not do everything perfect. In the end, you will miss something and you will find you should have done something in another way. But that's it.
Just want to add one last touch point. So they have seen so much stuff with SAP. Neptune works great. So they keep coming to me, what else you can do it, right? So the Planet 9 seems to be very promising for me, because now they wanted to get the data from Salesforce and all your non-SAP backends into one unified screen. So that's where I look forward for the new developments in Planet 9. Thank you.